Noctis is a simple defensive character who has huge range on most of his attacks. This is due to the weaponry he wields. For this reason, he operates best in mid to long range combat, as he can hit the opponent with his long range moves, while your opponent cannot reach Noctis. This makes his keep out very effective. He has a somewhat slow and linear but long ranged while running 1+2 when he wants to start to apply pressure, which is a mid launcher which crushes lows and gives massive plus frames on block. He mostly relies on punishment to inflict damage onto his opponents, whether that be with punishment or block punishment. In both areas he excels greatly, as forward 2 is probably the best whiff punisher in Tekken history. It can punish moves which are normally safe to whiff, such as keep out moves from across the stage. His block punishment from standing and while standing are very good. However, he does lack range on his jabs. He more than makes up for this at I-15 from standing, as he gains access to down forward 2, which has huge range. Down forward 2 can launch punish moves which are generally abused or considered to be safer than they actually are due to pushback. Up close, he doesn't have a diverse set of viable pokes, strings, and command throws for 1 and 2 breaks. Instead, he mostly relies on jabs, down forward 1, and an I-14 high counter hit launcher. The pokes he does have are safe but very disadvantageous on block. However, due to his unchickenable reversal and punch parry, he can steal the opponent's turn to attack. At point blank range, he is extremely threatening, similar to Paul. This is due to his 50-50 between his Demo Man ripoff, aka Emo Man, a damaging unseeable low which knocks down, wall splats, and even floor breaks for a combo, and the mid of your choice such as up forward 3. The combination of his long range moves, block punishers, and whiff punishers, as well as his threatening close range 50-50 make him a dangerous character to approach and dangerous up close when he has the upper hand. Strengths: long range whiff punishers. Long range launch punisher, therefore Noctis is able to launch punish moves with pushback. Long range moves for excellent keep out. Good homing moves. Good ground game, as Noctis is able to pick up grounded opponents who are laying down on the floor for a full juggle. All of his main lows hit grounded opponents, and he has a lot of mids which hit grounded as well. Safe low crushing launchers, making his opponent wary of using lows. Easy lag proof combos. Weaknesses: Noctis's close range pokes have weak tracking against opponents he sidestep right, or they do not track at all. Most of his long range attacks are very linear, however they can catch the opponent if they mistime their sidestep. Lacks throw mix-ups for 1 and 2 breaks. Lacks good low pokes from standing, although Noctis does have a full crouch down forward 2, which is a great low. Down forward 1. Down forward 1 is Noctis's fastest mid at 13 frames. Like any other down forward 1, it is an indispensable move to the character, as it is your main poking tool in close range to initiate pressure. Noctis's down forward 1 needs a short sidewalk right to be evaded. On block, it is only -1, so you can use this move to see how your opponent responds to pressure. If they stand guard, you can continue pressure with jabs and further down forward 1s. When you suspect they will try to interrupt with a single hit move, you can comfortably sidestep and whiff punish. If you suspect they will try to interrupt with a string, you can use up forward 1 to get a counter hit launch. If they step, use a homing move. On hit and counter hit, down forward 1 is +7, so if you are confident with your forward execution, you can go for forward 1+2, which appears to trade with jabs for a counter hit launch if your opponent mashes. This is a favourable trade as Noctis is still able to get a combo. Forward 1+2 also deals with stepping opponents as well. If you are not confident with your forward execution, you could just go for up forward 1, which is high and can be sidestep right. However, it is still uninterruptible even by armor moves. Down back 1, 1+2, and back 2 are good mid follow-ups to consider, as they are both uninterruptible by jabs. However, they can be sidewalked and they will lose to armor moves. Down forward 1, down forward 4, 2-2 are other uninterruptible mid follow-ups which cannot be sidewalked. However, 2-2 can be interrupted by power crushes. If your opponent turtles up, you can turn up the pressure with an instant while running 1+2, but it is easy to interrupt. Alternatively, you can go for lows such as down back 3, down back 2, Emo Man, and even full crouch down forward 2. However, the Emo Man can be evaded with a single backdash. Down forward 1-4 is a high extension to down forward 1. It should be used seldom, as while the high is safe on block, it doesn't jail, so it can be ducked and launched. But it can be useful to discourage opponents from interrupting or sidewalking Noctis' down forward 1 pressure, so it should only ever be used on a hard read if you suspect your opponent will sidestep or try to interrupt you. Down forward 1-4 is a natural counter hit combo, but it is not counter hit confirmable, so it is generally not a good idea to throw this move out. Up forward 1. Up forward 1 is Noctis' fastest counter hit launcher at I-14. Since it is a high, this means that you have to use it cautiously, as it can be high crushed. Being a sword, it cannot be parried or reversed, aside from Geese, Jin, and Noctis himself. This move has to be sidestep right to be evaded. On block, it is -4 and has slight pushback. Therefore, you are able to sidestep retaliations from your opponent which do not track very well. The pushback can set up some whiff punishes by having this move connect on the tip and then backdashing while looking for a whiff. On hit, it is +8, meaning that the opponent cannot sidestep out of the options which were steppable with down forward 1 on hit, with the exception of up forward 1. However, be aware that depending on how close you are to the opponent when the move hits, some of the follow-ups can be backdashed. So, if you notice your opponent is backdashing, forward 1+2 is a good option to throw out, since it has better range and when executed precisely, it is uninterruptible by jabs, but it will lose to power crushes. On counter hit, up forward 1 launches for a combo. Down back 3. Down back 3 is Noctis' best low poke from standing, as it is completely unseeable at I-15 and crushes highs on its 6th frame of startup. It also tracks to his weak side very well, therefore a short sidewalk left is required to evade this move. On block, it is -13, meaning that it can be launch punished by certain characters, but due to its speed, it should never really get blocked unless you are very predictable. On hit and counter hit, you cannot sustain pressure as you are left in crouch in your opponent's face at -2. So, your best bet is to try and have this move connect on the tip, then you can backdash and block while looking for a whiff. You could also sidestep if your opponent retaliates. However, you can only step to the background, so you should only step if you know you can avoid a specific move by stepping towards the background. Forward 1+2. Forward 1+2 is one of Noctis' best moves, as it is mid, homing, wall splats, counter hit launches, has good range, cannot be reversed or parried aside from Geese, Jin, and Noctis, screws, and is safe on block. This makes it a very good move to approach the opponent with. On block, it is -9 and leaves you right in the opponent's face, therefore you essentially give up your turn and have to predict the mix-up. On hit, it is +10, though nothing is guaranteed, therefore you can continue your pressure pretty much any way you want. Moves which are I-19 or less are uninterruptible by jabs. I-17 moves or less cannot be interrupted by power crushes. If your opponent decides to attack, another forward 1+2 will counter hit launch them and cannot be interrupted by power crushes if your execution is precise. If your opponent turtles up, feel free to go for lows. Emo Man can be backdashed, however. If you are confident with your instant while running execution, you can really put on the pressure with an instant while running 1+2, though it can be evaded and interrupted easily. On counter hit, forward 1+2 will instantly screw for a juggle. 1+2. 1+2 is a high mid natural combo, which has huge range and is also a homing move. 1+2 mostly defines itself as a I-18 block or whiff punish by the wall, as it wall splats and leads to huge damage with a wall combo, or as a high damage homing move if you get a hard read that your opponent will commit to a sidewalk. On block it is -14, so you can be launched by certain characters and heavily punished. The first hit is very useful on its own due to its range and homing property. This makes it a useful move for keep out, since most of Noctis' other long range moves can be evaded with a well timed sidestep. However, keep in mind that 1+2 is a high, so it is susceptible to being high crushed. Doing the first hit on its own can induce hesitation, since most players will be waiting for the second hit to come out. During your opponent's moment of confusion, you could go for sneaky lows or continue offense. However, be aware that you are at -9 on block, so if your opponent is on the ball, they can easily interrupt you. On hit and counter hit, it is -3. Down 4, 1, 1+2. Noctis' Demo Man ripoff, aka Emo Man, is his high risk, high reward low. Like Paul's Demo Man, it requires a clean hit to trip the opponent for all the other hits to combo. Also, the range on the first hit isn't particularly good. Unlike Paul's Demo Man, the first hit doesn't trip on its own. It doesn't track to both sides very well and can be evaded with a single sidestep right. Also, it is 4 frames slower compared to Paul's Demo Man, but still unseeable for the most part. This move is best used when your opponent is getting off the ground or when they are close to the wall, so they cannot backdash and avoid the clean hit of the low. Emo Man can be mixed up with a mid of your choice to establish a threatening 50-50, such as up forward 3 in the open, by the wall, forward 1+2, or even forward 4-2 when you are certain that your opponent will duck. There is a just frame which makes the last hit do 25 instead of 22 damage. This can be achieved by inputting 1+2 during the second hit of the string. On block, the first hit staggers and is -31, meaning that you can get heavily punished if you are predictable. The second hit is -12 and high. It cannot be ducked if the low does hit, but you can still block. The third hit is -18 but leaves the opponent in crouch. On hit and counter hit, just doing the first 2 hits can place the opponent on a wall behind them, allowing you to get a wall combo, but this is only the case if the first hit is a clean hit and trips. The full string spikes the opponent to the ground, which is very useful on the Forgotten Realm stage, since it floor breaks and allows you to get a combo. On a standing opponent, the second and third hit are the only natural combos in the string. Forward 2. Noctis' Warp Strike is one of the best whiff punishers in Tekken history, as it is able to whiff punish moves from across the stage which are normally safe to whiff. It can also hit opponents out of certain movement techniques, as well as being used to interrupt your opponent's approach. This move should be reserved strictly for whiff punishing, as it is incredibly linear and on whiff it can be punished heavily if misused. However, your opponent will need to be on the ball with their punish, as it can be very tricky to punish, due to Noctis recovering in a rolling state which has airborne properties. So, if your opponent is early to punish with a launcher, they might get a float combo. It can sometimes be tricky to sidewalk to reach its back for huge damage, since Noctis' roll covers a lot of distance, making some weird things happen. So, it is best just to stick to a sidestep. On block, it is safe, but you are in your opponent's face at -9. So, you are open to a mix-up. Yoshimitsu, in no sword stance, can launch punish it with no sword stance 1+4, as well as Noctis' other warp strikes, so be especially careful when using this move against Yoshimitsu. On hit and counter hit, you are left next to your opponent, who is left in a face-up feet towards position on the ground. Since you recover faster than them, a forward 1+2 executed perfectly will counter hit get up kicks, spring kick, and a recovery kick. Down back 1+2 and the charged version can be used to get some whiff punishes on get up attacks, as well as they hit grounded and if your opponent moves on the ground. Full crouch down forward 2. Full crouch down forward 2 is Noctis's best low poke, as it is the only low which he has which does decent damage and gives frame advantage on hit, while not being launch punishable by most of the cast. It also cannot be low parried. However, to have access to this move, you need to be crouching, so while it does crush highs all the way, it can be risky to do by itself as you need to be in crouch in your opponent's face. The move has decent tracking against sidesteps to either direction. Your opponent can evade it if they sidewalk to their right. On block, it is -13, like all of his other low pokes from standing. It is +3 on hit and forces crouch, so while standing 4 is uninterruptible by crouching jabs, and while standing 1 will trade to crouching jabs. On counter hit, it no longer forces crouch but gives +13, while running 1+2. While running 1+2 is the backbone of Noctis's frame trap and pressure mind games, as it gives a massive 11 frames of advantage on block. On hit, it launches, meaning that you are in a favourable position on block and hit. This move crushes lows and has good range, making it ideal for keep out. However, it is linear and slow, but it can still catch the opponent if they mistime their sidestep. To counter your opponent from sidestepping your while running 1+2, try not to be predictable with it. So, do not attempt to do a while running 1+2 from a running state across the stage, as the running animation will telegraph the while running 1+2. Learning how to do this move instantly from close range will make your while running 1+2 unpredictable and less likely of getting stepped. If your opponent is good at interrupting your while running 1+2, try to have this move connect on the tip, or dash in and immediately block to bait out the keep up move, then you can whiff punish. On block you are at +11, so you can continue your offense pretty much any way you want. Just be cautious of the distance between you and your opponent. This will depend on how far away you were when the move gets blocked. Moves which are I-20 or less cannot be interrupted by jabs. Moves which are I-18 or less cannot be interrupted by power crushes. Forward 1+2 has good range and can be used to counter hit launch your opponent if they try anything. If your opponent turtles up, feel free to go for lows or continue pressure with more instant while running 1+2s. On hit and counter hit, it launches for a full combo. Down back 2. Down back 2 is a low which cannot be low parried, deals good damage and has huge range. The main purpose of down back 2 is for keep out, and to complement his long range mids. It can frustrate your opponent and set up some whiff punish opportunities by having this move connect on the tip and then backdash it. However, it is somewhat seeable at I-24 and steppable to both sides. On block, it is launch punishable at -19, but when used at tip range, some launchers may miss. On hit, it forces the opponent into crouch and gives 4 frames of advantage. You can't really take advantage of these plus frames if the move connects at tip range though. On counter hit, it launches for a combo. Down forward 1+2 is a rather slow mid which has huge range, making it his go-to space control and keep up move to bully your opponent at mid range. The move can be used to set up some whiff punishes against frustrated opponents. Just make sure the move hits, as it has bad recovery on whiff. The maximum amount of range is about 3 backdashes away from the opponent after a screen reset. Up close, it tracks against sidestep right, but can be evaded with a sidestep left or short sidewalk to either direction. At further ranges, it will require a well-timed sidewalk to either direction to be evaded. On block, it is safe at -9 and has a lot of pushback. Due to the pushback, it can set up some whiff punish opportunities if you backdash as well. On hit and counter hit, it knocks down and wall splats. Down back 1+2. Down back 1+2 is a slow mid launcher with huge range. It can be used as a very rewarding whiff punish on big whiffs, or as a somewhat safe mid launcher, as it has pushback on block, making it hard to punish, especially when it gets blocked at tip range. It becomes almost impossible to punish. It can also evade highs with poor hitboxes, and is one of Noctis's best ground hitting moves. However, it is slow and linear, so your opponent can sidestep left or sidewalk in any direction to evade it up close. At longer ranges, it requires a well-timed sidewalk right to be evaded. On block it is -16 but has pushback in the open, so it can be very difficult to punish. It becomes very difficult, if not impossible, to block punish at longer ranges. On hit and counter hit, it launches very high for a full combo. Down back 1+2 hold. Evades highs even better, deals more damage but is slower and easier to sidewalk. On block it is completely safe with a huge block stun, but very disadvantageous. Up forward 2. Up forward 2 is a slow safe mid launcher, which has massive range and crushes lows. It also hits grounded, a relatively low risk option to throw out, especially if you get a hard read on a low. But beware, due to the forward momentum of this move, it will sometimes go straight over lows which tech crouch and have some forward momentum. It is very linear, but has a little bit of tracking against sidestep right, so it is best to sidestep left or sidewalk to either direction to evade it. On block, it forces your opponent into crouch and leaves you at -8. On hit and counter hit, it launches for a combo. Sidestep 2. Sidestep 2 is a somewhat quick mid with good range and hits grounded. It doesn't have any particularly good tracking, but it can reorientate due to the sidestep, so it's best to sidewalk to the left to evade this move. On block, it is neutral, therefore it can set up some counter hit and sidestep with punish opportunities. If you notice your opponent likes to attack immediately after the sidestep 2, since it is quite a big move which looks like it would have some disadvantage on block. On hit, it forces your opponent into crouch and appears to leave you at +5. On counter hit, it will knock down for a guaranteed down back 1+2. Noctis' parry has a startup for 3 frames and lasts for 7 frames more, so the parry has an active window starting on its 3rd frame all the way and onto its 10th frame. Noctis is vulnerable for the first 2 frames of startup, and is vulnerable for 34 frames or more after the active window has expired. The parry cannot be chickened or reversed. It can parry high and mid kicks, punches and weaponry attacks from himself and Yoshimitsu. It cannot parry knees, elbows, shoulders, moves which require a triple forward while running input, and other unorthodox type moves. The parry can be used to get out of pressure situations where sidestepping or armor moves will not work. Punish gaps in between strings. Interrupt your opponent's offense. The parry seems to always do the same amount of damage. It knocks down and allows for a wall combo if your opponent has the back towards the wall. 1-2 1+2. 1-2 1+2 is Noctis' only viable jab string. The first 2 hits are like any other character's 1-2 jab string. However, due to the last hit, it will make opponents hesitate to attack afterwards due to the last hit given the knockdown and wall splat. This means that you can use the 1-2 jabs to induce hesitation and start pressure. The last hit can be interrupted with I-11 moves and sidestep to the left, so you do not want to end the string unnecessarily. Instead, you would want to use it sparingly against aware opponents, to discourage them from attacking with I-12 or slower moves after 1-2. Also, for the opponent to evade the last hit, they need to sidestep left. This is not Noctis' weak side up close. Therefore, you could catch opponents who are trying to evade the last hit with a fast poke, which tracks against sidestep left, such as down forward 1, up forward 1, or even his homing move, forward 1+2. If your opponent always tries to interrupt the last hit, you can sidestep and whiff punish, since most jabs and magic falls do not track. Back 2. Back 2 is an I-15 mid which can be evaded with a short sidewalk in either direction, or a sidestep right. On block, it is completely safe at -9. However, due to the heavy disadvantage, you pretty much give up your turn and leave yourself open to a mix-up. On hit and counter hit, it gives the same amount of frame advantage as down forward 1. The interesting thing about back 2 is that it can be hit confirmed into back 2 1+2 by pressing the 1+2 during the first hit. You should always confirm back 2 into back 2 1+2 since you get more damage. Back 2 1+2 leaves you at +4, so you can use up forward 1 to favourably trade with jabs. But as previously mentioned, up forward 1 is a high, meaning that it can be high crushed, and it can also be sidestepped right. Noctis' 2 is a sword and cannot be reversed or parried aside from Geese, Jin, and Noctis himself. The first hit has good range and tracks against sidestep right, however, it can be evaded with a single sidestep left. 2-2 is the most viable option stemming from Noctis' 2 string. 2-2 is a natural combo even when delayed. It also jails when not delayed. You would always want to do 2-2 instead of a single 2, as the first hit by itself is punishable at -12. However, since the second hit can be delayed, you can catch opponents trying to punish the first hit. Delaying the second hit allows fast defensive options such as parries to be used. However, this isn't very common as the opponent will be more likely to be patient and try to punish the third hit of 2-2-2-2-2, 2-2 forward 2, or 2-2 back 2. Therefore, using 2-2 alone can be a powerful option to get a response out of your opponent or to induce hesitation, as they will either duck, stand guard, or sidestep the third hit of the strings. On block, 2-2 is -9, which signals the end of your offense. However, opponents will be hesitant to attack afterwards due to the delayable third hits of 2-2, 2-2-2, 2-2 forward 2, and 2-2 back 2. If the third hit of 2-2, 2-2-2 is delayed for the maximum amount of time, it can be interrupted by I-14 moves. If the third or fourth hit connects even on normal hit, the rest of the string becomes a natural combo. The third and fourth hits are safe on block. They are highs, therefore they can be ducked and launched. If your opponent blocks 2-2-2, they cannot duck the subsequent high since they jail. 2-2-2-2-2 is -14 on block. 2-2 forward 2 is -14 on block. 2-2 back 2 can be stepped and is -11 on block. On hit and counter hit, 2-2 is +6. On hit and counter hit, you don't want to commit to any of the follow-ups, since your opponent can still duck the high follow-up and the mids are unsafe on block. 2-2 back 2 can be evaded with a sidestep left, however this is only the case if it was delayed. Down back 1, 1+2. Down back 1, 1+2 defines itself with its ability to pick up grounded opponents for a combo. It seems to pick up opponents most reliably when Noctis is very close to the grounded opponent. Down back 1, 1+2 is a 3-hit mid-string which is a natural combo. When delayed slightly, it will still be a natural combo. However, on max delay, it will no longer be a natural combo. Down back 1, 1+2 tracks very well if your opponent moves to their left. It requires the sidewalk right to be completely evaded, since a sidestep right will evade the first hit but not the subsequent hits. On block, it is -7, which ends your offense. Other than to maybe induce hesitation, since down back 1, 1+2 can be delayed, there is little to no reason to just do a down back 1 on its own, as your opponent can evade down back 1 by sidewalking left, whereas down back 1, 1+2 has better tracking against opponents who sidewalk left and cannot be evaded in that direction. On block, it is -6. On hit and counter hit, it is neutral. Another reason why it is recommended to just stick with down back 1, 1+2. Down back 1 forward. Down back 1 forward transitions into roll dodge, which goes underneath highs. On block, Noctis is vulnerable for 24 frames. On hit and counter hit, Noctis is vulnerable for 18 frames. Down back 1 forward into Noctis' fastest move from roll dodge, which is roll dodge 1, will lose to I-23 moves on block. On hit and counter hit, it will lose to I-17 frame moves. The transition shouldn't really be used due to how punishable it is, however, you may be able to catch an opponent off guard. Forward 3+4. A manual roll dodge starts to crush highs on its 4th frame of startup. Noctis recovers standing after roll dodge. By holding down, down back, or down forward, Noctis recovers crouching. Roll dodge 1. Roll dodge 1 is a mid, which seems to reorientate against lateral movements, especially sidestep left. However, with good timing, you can sidewalk in either direction or a sidestep right. On block, it is -14. On hit and counter hit, it knocks down for a guaranteed forward 1+2. Roll dodge 3+4. Roll dodge 3+4 is a low which crushes highs all the way. It can also evade some mids. However, it is very linear. On block, it is -20. On hit and counter hit, it will knock down for a guaranteed down back 1+2. Forward 3. Forward 3 is a mid knee with decent range. It is very linear and can be evaded with a single sidestep in either direction, although it has a little bit of tracking to sidestep right. On block, it is -9 and leaves you right in the opponent's face. Therefore, you pretty much have to give up your turn and predict the mix-up. On hit and counter hit, it causes a breakable nosebleed stun, which leaves you at +9, but with a fair amount of pushback. Since forward 3-2 is a natural combo, some opponents may hold down to fall to the ground, which allows them to break the nosebleed stun and avoid the warp strike, allowing them to get a punish attempt. However, if your opponent holds down, this allows Noctis to get a full combo if he only does a forward 3 by using down 2-2 to initiate the tailspin. Therefore, forward 3-2 shouldn't really be used, especially since you cannot hit confirm the second hit. On block, the second hit is -11. Also, it can be heavily punished with a sidestep. The string can catch your opponent off guard, as it evades a lot of moves if your opponent retaliates after forward 3. Forward 4-2. Forward 4-2 is a 2-hit mid-string, which is a natural combo. It mostly identifies itself as a high damage wall splat move, which can be used as an I-17 block or whiff punisher at the wall for big damage. The first hit is very linear and can be evaded with a single sidestep to either direction. However, the second hit will catch a sidestep in either direction, but the full string is vulnerable to sidewalking in any direction. On block, it is barely punishable at -11. However, the full string shouldn't really get blocked, as if your opponent blocks the first hit, they can sidestep left and end up at your back, or they can interrupt the second hit with I-13 moves. On hit and counter hit, it gives 12 frames of advantage, though nothing is guaranteed. You essentially have the same options as forward 1+2 on hit. However, your opponent is slightly further away from you. By the wall, it wall splats for big damage. Down 1. Down 1 is a mid-natural combo which hits grounded. It leaves Noctis recovering in full crouch, making it an ideal move to use to get into full crouch so you can use your full crouch moves such as full crouch down forward 2. The move can be evaded with a sidewalk left. On block, it is safe at -3, but it leaves you and your opponent in crouch. Therefore, it leaves you in a somewhat unfavourable position, as you cannot sustain pressure and you can only sidestep to the background. On hit and counter hit, you are at +4. You and your opponent are in crouch, so while standing 4 and while standing 1 are uninterruptible by crouching jabs. However, your opponent can sidestep left both of these options, depending on which side of the screen they are on. While standing 2 will lose to crouching jabs and is punishable on block, but it tracks very well to both sides. If your opponent turtles up, full crouch down forward 2 can be used, however it will lose to sidewalk right. Down back 4. Down back 4 is Noctis' other low poke from standing. It doesn't have any crushing attributes, only deals 9 damage and is 2 frames slower compared to down back 3. Therefore, down back 3 is overall a better option. It tracks against sidesteps to both sides. It requires a sidewalk to any direction to be evaded. On block, it is -13. Similar to down back 3, therefore it can be launch punished by certain characters. However, it is fast enough to where it shouldn't get blocked on reaction unless you were predictable. On hit and counter hit, it is -2, similar to down back 3, hence you cannot sustain pressure. However, you do not recover in full crouch, meaning that you can sidestep to either direction to evade incoming attacks from your opponent, which is very useful if your opponent decides to immediately attack. Back 4 1+2. Back 4 1+2 is a high mid natural combo. The first hit has good range, making it an ideal whiff punish by the wall. It deals the most damage out of 1+2 and forward 4-2. The first hit on its own can be used to create space, as it has pushback on block and leaves Noctis back turned. So if you hold down back, he will turn around while moving away. However, this transition is very unsafe, but opponents will be hesitant to attack due to the last hit, which will launch on counter hit. The first hit is very linear and can be evaded with a sidestep in either direction. However, the second hit will catch opponents who sidestep to either direction, and it will catch a sidewalk left. So, sidewalking right is the best option to evade the full string. On block, the string has a lot of pushback but is -13. On hit and counter hit, it knocks down and wall splurts. The second hit on its own will launch on counter hit, forward 1+4. Forward 1+4 is Noctis' only power crush move. It is very linear with long range. On block, it is -14, therefore it is quite risky as you can be launched. On hit and counter hit, it will knock down for a guaranteed forward 1+2. It also wall splats by the wall. Back 1+4. Back 1+4 has the Sabaki punch parry built into the attack. The Sabaki has an active window starting on its 3rd frame of startup, all the way and on its 10th frame. So this move can be used in a similar fashion to the parry. On block, the move is -11. On hit, counter hit, and if your opponent gets the punch caught, it will knock down for a guaranteed down back 1+2.